Well, hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, I just did a 45-minute reading on the Beaumont children, and the camera wasn't on. So I'm going to try this again, but here's the thing, I have to try it with a different set of cards. Never ask your cards the same question twice. uh, it's disrespectful. So my cards don't understand. I can't. I have to ask them again because my camera wasn't on. The cards don't understand that. So I'm using a different deck here, the Morgan Greer. They still are a tiny deck because we have to get a lot of cards on the table. So let's carry on. The disappearance of the Beaumont children. This is a much requested um, reading, and this is a very old cold case. This was from the 26th of January, 1966, so we're at 59 years ago. And they disappeared from Glenelg Beach, South Australia, and they were Jane, who was 9, Arna, who was 7, and Grant, who was 4. And they disappeared from the beach on Australia Day in 1966. The case remains unsolved and is one of Australia's most infamous cold cases, significantly impacting Australian society and parenting practices. Numerous leads and suspects have been investigated over the years, but the children's fate remains unknown. So, key facts. Last seen. Multiple witnesses reported seeing the children playing with a tall, fair haired man in his mid 30s at Coley Reserve and later walking away from the beach with him around midday. Uncharacteristic behavior. The children, especially Jane, were described as shy. Their relaxed interaction with a stranger suggested a prior meeting. Arna had mentioned Jane having a boyfriend down the beach, which Nancy Beaumont dismissed as a playmate. Nancy Beaumont is the mother. Now, one of the things here I've skipped over, the children were at the beach by themselves, and I'll get to that in a moment. Um, the there's a bunch of other different things that went on, but that was what they were last seen with this man, and that was uncharacteristic for them. So let's get into who are the possible, let's get into who all the players are, because there's a lot of players here. And then we'll get into the timeline. So the Beaumont family, Jane, age 9, Arna, age 7, and Grant, it's Arna, and Grant, aged 4. And this is a colorized. The one that they distributed was actually black and white because it's from 1966. Jim Beaumont, the father of the children, a former serviceman and a taxi driver. Nancy Beaumont, mother of the children, stayed at home raising the children. Suspects. The unidentified man, the prime suspect, described as tall with fair to light brown hair, a thin face, and a suntanned complexion, aged in his mid 30s. Bevan Spencer von Einem, convicted murderer with resemblance to the suspect. An informant claimed he confessed to taking the children from the beach for experiments, but details were inconsistent with the case. His son has claimed to have seen the Beaumont children at his father's property on the day of the disappearance. Two other individuals claimed to have been paid to dig a hole on the property that weekend. Excavations in 2013 and 2018 yielded no evidence. Legacy. The case has led to one of the largest police investigations in Australian history. It also profoundly impacted Australian society, making parents more vigilant about child safety and leading to a cultural shift in perceptions of unsupervised children. Current status. The case remains open with $1 million reward for information. South Australia Police have vowed to never give up on the investigation. So here's a timeline of what went on. So January 25th, Jim Beaumont drops his children, Jane, 9, Arna, and Grant, at Gilling Beach before a work trip. So I'm thinking that that is the town, the Gilling Beach town, because there's a town and an actual beach. So that wasn't very clear. I didn't quite understand that. Why would he do that the day before? On January 26th, Australia Day, in the morning, the Beaumont children take the bus to Glenelg Beach, arriving around 8:45 a.m. All right? So we have to remember this is 1966, and as a 9-year-old, that would have been quite common for her to take a bus to the beach and go play on the beach by themselves with her as the oldest sister as kind of the supervisor. That's I was 3 years old in 1966. My mom let me play outside by myself all the time, and not just in the backyard. I was in the front yard running around doing summer circles, and that was the high trust society back then. So no shade to the parents for allowing that. It was a different time. Around midday, multiple witnesses see the children playing with a tall, fair-haired man in his mid-30s at Coley Reserve. Around 12:15, the children and man are seen walking away from the beach together. Early afternoon, Jane buys pasties and a meat pie at Wenzel's Bakery with a £1 note, despite having limited pocket money. 2:55 p.m., a postman sees the children walking alone along Jetty Road, heading towards home. Afternoon, Nancy Beaumont becomes worried when the children don't return on the 12 or 2 p.m. buses. Around 3, Jim Beaumont returns home early and immediately searches for the children at the beach. That's why I think there's a town and a beach. 5:30, the Beaumonts report their children missing to the Glenelg police station. January 27th, the next day, police begin a large-scale search of Glenelg Beach and surrounding areas. January 29th, the Patalonga boat haven is drained following a tip, but nothing is found. Media reports begin to suggest a possible sex crime. Imagine how odd that would be in 1966. Late 1966, early 1967, a woman reports seeing the children with a man entering a seemingly empty house on the night of their disappearance. Why did she wait a year? Who knows? This is sad. 1968, the Beaumont parents received 2 letters, one seemingly from Jane and another from a man who claimed to be keeping the children. A meeting is arranged, but no one appears. A 3rd letter arrives, supposedly from Jane, stating that the man decided to keep the children after seeing a detective at the meeting point. Now we fast forward to 1992. Forensic analysis reveals the letters were a hoax. Now, then they go on to a few major suspects, but they were all in 1998. They thought they had somebody a similar situation. He was no link is found, and then he dies. And then Ryan O'Neill in prison for child murder. They're wondering if he is involved, and they clear him as well. And then there's a couple of other ones. Now, in 2007, police examine archival footage from 1966 and spot a young man resembling Bevan Spencer von Einem among the onlookers. All right. There's a fellow named Pips. He wrote a story and he said it was his father, and they've done evacuations at his father's factory, and they did not find anything. Okay, in 2015, another person comes forward and says he knew a man who claims in 1966 was arrived at his home with children's bodies in his car. And that actually, they did have something there, but before they could really investigate it, in 2017, the fellow died. Alan Maxwell McIntyre dies. But they did have a clue. They had a 1966 diary entry, places Monroe near Glenelg Beach at the time of the disappearance. But before they could really investigate it, the fellow died. They then check the Pips factory site again, and it yields no new evidence. And this is the fellow who wrote a book and said, it's my father. Pips was his last name. in 2018, up went the $1 million reward, and they maintain that the case remains open. This is sad. In 2019, Nancy Beaumont dies, and in 2023, Grant Beaumont dies. All right, so let's see. I want to ask the cards, did they have the perpetrator in custody and let him go, or did he die before he was charged? So did they actually find the person who did this? But the person has died. Like, everybody that they've investigated has died. And you think about it, if he was in his mid 30s in the 60s, well, fast forward 60 years, he'd be in his 90s. So, that's the problem. I think at this point now, it's just answers. I think they know the person who did it has probably passed, so it's too late for any kind of punishment. But I think it's just answers. What happened to those children? So I'm going to ask the cards. Oh, and I'm using the Empress because we have the 3 children, but Jane, the oldest, was a female, and so I'm using her energy. All right. And I'm very interested to see if the card shows something similar from the very first reading. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. 45 minutes, and I go to look to turn it off, and I didn't even turn it on. Oh well, guess you weren't meant to see that. All right, the Beaumont children. The Beaumont children. So, the Queen and King of Pentacles are parents. All right. If we come up with a couple little pages, it's probably the younger children. But I want to find out, did they ever have the person in custody? And also, what happened to these children? What happened to these children? What happened to the children? What happened to the children? What happened to the Beaumont children? January 26, 1966. What happened to the Beaumont children? Okay, cards are ready. Remember, we want 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Clock's right in here with us. I need 24, don't I? What I was thinking, 23. I wonder what the number 20, well, I know I have to do 23 the second time. I'm just going to take the top one there. That's what my intuition is telling me. Okay. What happened to the Beaumont children, and did they ever have the perpetrator? Did they ever have the perpetrator? Did they find the person, but the person actually passed, or... Okay, the Beaumont children. What happened? And did they actually have the person? Okay. 1, there's the police. 1, 2, duty. 3, there's the reward. 4, yep. 5, there's the 3 children. Oh, there's the devil. There's a page. There's 2 pages there. Well, I don't like all... There's the Empress. Oh, yeah, there's the Death card. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think this person wanted just her, and the children were almost collateral damage. I hate to say it that way. The two smaller ones. I think she was the target, and she happened to be with her sisters, her sister and her brother. Her parents didn't show up here, so I'm going to say they're not involved. I didn't read anything if they've ever, I'm sure, like the father had an alibi. He was at work, and the mother, being at home, maybe the neighbor saw her or whatever. But I'm not getting anything that the parents were involved at all. Um, yeah, I'm getting that this was more or less for her. It wasn't a thing that he wanted all three children. He was after her. Um, I think he was this King of Swords here. I'm going to say I think they were obviously killed by knife. Mm, we've got some women here. I'm wondering if I'm just looking to see because we have I was looking for the Knight of Swords. That would be the fellow that wrote the book. But we have a King of Swords here. And when you think about it, so the fellow wrote the book that his father, Pips, he owned a factory. And I don't see a King of Wands here, which would be an entrepreneur. And the Knight of Swords would be the book writer. So I'm not seeing that at all. Um, I'm seeing that he wanted her. He wanted Jane. He wasn't interested in the other two children at all. Um, I think he took them far away. I don't think they'll ever be found in the area. Um, I'm not too sure if that was a really happy family. I think they're a family that had their own struggles, with money, especially. I'm just, I think they were taken away. I'm looking to see if we can see if they are underground, um, above ground. Like I'm just getting they aren't they were moved, especially with the Chariot and the Six of Swords here. They were moved. They were moved. Um, I think this is this £1 note that when she went to buy the thing. I think that's a really big, huge clue. Of course, today it would be, they might be able to, you know, I don't know, scrape it or some such thing, but 1966 you couldn't, and who would remember which pound note it was? Um, I think that I think it was he wanted her, and I don't want to really go into what he wanted her for. It's disturbing to me, But he did definitely take them far away. They'll never be found in the area. They were taken far away. And I think he had his eye on her for a while. And that makes sense how the one younger daughter said, oh, she's got a boyfriend. Well, what does a boyfriend do? Kiss you? Caress you, perhaps? She may have lived afterwards. That's what's kind of sad here. She may have lived afterwards without her siblings. And then once she became a burden, he disposed of her. I think there's two women who might have seen something. I can't remember if the witnesses, like there were many, many witnesses. Perhaps whatever these two women have said is the truth. I'm not getting it was the factory guy. I'm getting that it was this King of Swords here, tall, and that is a King of Swords. They're generally tall and slender. Are they ever going to be found? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Let's see if the truth will ever come out. So I'm looking for the Ace of Swords. Yeah, it's tough when it's so long ago. And also how much I can say on YouTube and how much I think he had her as a pet prize. And that's what's bothering me here, right here. I think he wanted her, and then when he was done with her, he disposed of her. He could be married. He could be a married man. He could have had two wives. That's who this could have been. Here's the marriage card. He could have had two wives. So that would be a clue who it was too. But yeah, I think the younger ones were disposed of quickly, and she had to endure. Oh, I left her out, and I just had it out. I'm really upset about what I saw there. She actually really did have to go through a lot by herself. She was far away. She was far away. What did I do with that Ace of Swords? I just had it in my hand. There it is. See, these things upset me. That's why some of these I don't like delving into a lot. So I'm not getting that it was anybody the family knows. I think this was a predator. I don't believe he lived in the area. I believe he possibly was, just came for hunting purposes, for lack of a better term. He found somebody, and he just sat and waited till he could pounce. And unfortunately, all three, he took the younger two as well. I'm feeling that the younger two were disposed of quite quickly, and she had to endure a lot from him until he wanted to dispose of her as well. I believe they were taken far away, and I don't believe they'll ever be found. I don't. Now, I think he had two wives or two significant relationships, and they may have something. But again, like if these guys if he was mid-30s in 1966, So say he was born in 1930. He's already 94 years old. Well, how old would the wives be if they're still around? But you never know. Like maybe the wives mentioned something to a cousin or a neighbor or some such thing. We might find that the answer has come through female. Like somebody says, it definitely wasn't a male who, so I don't think it's that book that person wrote that says it was my father. I don't think Phipps is his last name. I don't think it's him. I didn't see evidence of that at all. Okay, will we ever get the truth of what happened to the Beaumont children? Will we ever get the truth of what happened, and will their bodies ever be found? Will evidence, let's ask for evidence. Will evidence ever be found? 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 And will we ever hear the truth? Will we ever hear the truth? Okay, now I need 23, right? Okay. All right. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. All right. There we go. All right. So will we ever learn the truth? Will we ever find the children? Will evidence ever be found? Will we ever learn the truth? Will we ever find the children? They aren't together. They aren't together. So will we ever find evidence? Will we ever find the children? Will the truth ever come out? Cards are ready. So what we're looking for is how close the sword is to the Empress. 1, 2, there's the sword right away. 3, 4, 5. There's the mother showing up. There's the 3 children. See, I told you, there's the 3. There's, you know what? Wands are police. I forgot to mention that in the last reading. I saw that 6 there and I was distracted. Yes, they did. The police did actually have the person. 1, there's that Knight of Swords. There's the 2 children, the death. You might find the 2 children. There's the Empress. A farmer might find those 2 children. See, I told you they're separated. They're not together. There's that Queen of Cups again. The Tower. Look at, there's the Queen of Rods again. Yeah, you know what? I think that somebody he was married to, or sorry, I gotta move this. Somebody he was married to or had a relationship with will betray him. And I think it will come out, Knight of Swords here, in a book or something, maybe a police officer. We'll close that chapter and say, yes, we actually had him, and these are the reasons why. And somebody will come out. I think it's a female or a child of one of those females will come out and say, yes, I have evidence, or, this was always the story in our family. But I'm telling you right now, they are not together. The three children are not together. I don't think they're ever going to find the oldest girl. at all. I think um, I don't know how to tell you guys this. She may have had a baby by him. Um, the other two may be found by in a farmer's field. A farmer, right? Clearing some bush or some such thing. Look at that. A farmer clearing some bush or some such thing finds them. There might be some evidence, uh, or at least there's some kind of relief that they found two of them, but they'll be wondering where is the third. She may have had a child with him. You think 9? Well, I told you he kept her for a while. She may have had a child with him, and maybe that child will come forward. Like they do all these family DNA things. You send in a DNA thing, and it comes back like, what? You're not my dad, or you're not my mom. There's some kind of betrayal here. Um, yeah, I think she was kept away. She was kept away and hidden. And like I said, maybe a police officer will write a story one day about all the, well, again, the police officer would be in the 90s. Or maybe somebody will write a documentary about some of the evidence that they had. Here's the documentary, Knight of Swords, right here. They had him. Whoever, there's a list of suspects, quite long, and they had him. They had him. So he's one of the people in the list there. And he got away with it. So maybe somebody says, my grandfather was the chief detective on that case, and he told me they had him, and this is the reasons why, and now they have, freedom of information, and they can go in and get the case, or somebody working on the cold case right now will see some brand new evidence. But I think that either one of his adult girlfriend's children is going to spill the beans, or I think he had a child with her, and that child is going to spill the beans. So now you think about it, that child would be in their 50s by now, right? This was 1966, and she's 9 years old. And you think about some girls, they start menstruating. I think the average age is 11, and sometimes trauma can bring it on earlier. And I actually think she was treated as a wife, and I think she could have been pregnant. She could have been pregnant. She might have had a child with him. Because the world card can be my pregnancy card as well, and it's right beside her. And Queen of Cups would be acting like his wife. But no, they aren't together. Um, I don't think a lot of evidence will come out. The fellow's dead. So somebody might write about it. Um, somebody might write about it, and I think there'll be like some strong evidence. Perhaps there might be some DNA evidence. But again, that's such a long shot. They're generally far apart. Will we ever find out the truth what happened to her? Probably not. Truth what happened to the other ones? Probably. I think eventually a farmer is going to find their two remains in buried in a field or something. So whether they're building something and they dig up and boom, there they are. And it'll bring some kind of peace of mind. But it'll be interesting because they'll only find the two. But yeah, they'll find the two before they find her. That's way down. Like, that's almost a needle in a haystack over here that something would happen with this DNA. But yeah, that's what I see. That's what I see, unfortunately. Well, you have to know they're long gone. I don't think that's shocking. All right. Well, thank you very much for bringing this case to my attention. I personally have never heard of it. If you remember, I was quite young when it happened. Plus, here in Canada, we never really heard a lot of news about Australia as such. And this was a brand new case in my experience, and it was very fascinating. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. If you have other ones that are high profile cases, I know everybody has a local case and whatnot, but the higher profile cases are easier for me to tap into and make sense of. If you have other ones that you want me to read about, please put them down below. Because actually, the cold cases are one of my more favorite type of readings. This one wasn't so much because of what I'm getting from it, but for the most part, I like, finding out, and hopefully sometimes they give some peace of mind to the family. Unfortunately, the mother and father are now gone. There were no other children, and so I'm sure there's just extended family who would like to know. All right, please take good care. See you in the next one.